Got you set up on a ladder.
Nice. Guess what? We're live.
How's it going, everybody?
Everyone say hi to Eric. Let me do my little goofy start. Welcome to the Shut Up and Ride podcast, where we, yes, everyone in here, interviews Eric Porter. This is a big deal. So think about your questions. Let me tell you who we're talking to here. This is collegiate national champion in downhill and dual slalom. He's ridden Red Bull. He's a slopestyle guy. The Nitro Circus has ridden at your house.
Yep, they've been over to the house, and then I've met up with them a couple times too, which always results in injury. So I try not to hang out with those guys too often.
Do you know Travis Pastrana?
I do.
Wow, how about that?
Yeah.
And this is a bad thing. Do you know Jeff Lenosky?
Oh yeah.
That guy's been dodging me for weeks. I chatted on the phone with that guy, and he was just like, this sucks. And he had to drive all the way back from Arizona to, I think he lives like in New Jersey or something like that.
Yep. Yeah, he's up in New Jersey. Actually, that guy played a big role in getting my career started. That's
awesome.
Yeah, I had his posters on my wall, and I used to ride trials a long time ago. And so I always looked up to Jeff and met him at some trials contests. And at one point actually lived in New Jersey for a year to ride with him and Aaron Chase.
Well, let's just start here. I have a whole bunch of canned questions, so let's not do these. Let's start with, where did you start? How'd this happen?
Yeah, so I grew up in Kentucky, Louisville, and I got a mountain bike when I was 12, and from there basically just started riding around my neighborhood. And I was lucky enough to have mountain bike trails that we could ride to. So my friend Mark and I just started riding the mountain bike trails, and before we knew what mountain biking was. And then, you get the mountain bike action or something at the grocery store when you're a kid with, shopping with your parents, and, oh, check this out. This is what it is. And ended up getting my first job was at a bike shop, Bardstown Road Cycles in Louisville, and just kind of one thing led to another after that. So I wanted to be a pro snowboarder actually, but that's a lot less likely to work out being from Kentucky. But the way that it actually, so my plan was to go to college out west and snowboard while I was in college, and getting an education. And what ended up happening was I couldn't afford to go to school in Colorado. And so I went to school in Kentucky, and they had a bike team. And so I started racing collegiate, and that's where I was introduced to like jumping and everything. So for as much jumping as I do now, I didn't actually start jumping my bike until I was in college. So like 18 years old.
Yeah, I have so many particular questions for you. I've been thinking about this since you agreed to do this, and thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Normally, I'm supposed to be asking you about 26-inch wheels, but let me see if I can do this real quick. First of all, this is Eric's channel, and this is a really cool channel. You wouldn't be that far off if you said that this guy is the best mountain biker on YouTube. And no disrespect to anybody else. Let me show you guys something. See if I can do this real quick. And obviously I have Eric's Facebook, YouTube. This is a really, really good subscription to do. Let me get rid of this. Let me jump over to here and see if I can do this without breaking anything, because I'm my own director.
First ever tire to have licked while he manualed. That's possible. So if you're wondering what he's talking about there, everyone down here probably saw it, but that was at Sedona last year, and that was Seth licked my tire while manualing down a hill.
Look at that. That's your backyard.
That's the backyard.
And your boys are just killing it.
They're having a lot of fun, and you know, I don't think they realize how lucky they are yet because they're 8 and 10 years old. But especially during these times when we're actually stuck at the house, like everybody is, you know, this backyard is it's yeah, pretty unbelievable.
Now, I've heard you had a lot of help doing this, a ton of help doing this.
Yeah.
How long did this take?
The initial build consisted of, well, we started out first with just one jump, and that was mostly just me. And then after that, I located a bunch of dirt close to here, and we spent.
Where are you?
I'm in Utah, Park City area.
My brother lives in Woodland, so maybe close to you.
Yeah, it's about 20 minutes away.
Oh, cool.
Yep. Yeah, so anyway, we spent about a month and a half on the initial build. So that was all the wood came together with Kelly Magaza. And so we built the roll-in, which was a deck off of the garage. So the building I'm in right here, it's an apartment upstairs. And then off that side of the garage is a roll-in, which goes into the jumps. And then we built all wooden lips as well, so that with how much I travel, I didn't want to have to, like a 6 foot tall dirt jump lip. It takes a lot of work to keep it running perfect and smooth. And, you know, I'm pretty picky about how it looks and rides. And
I saw you giving shovel technique.
Yeah. It goes a long way. And if you spend, you know, kind of my intro to jumping was through, most of the time I was riding a mountain bike, but through BMXers and BMX dirt jumps. And there's a culture there of with really strong etiquette for how things look and ride and how polished and perfect and how dialed everything is, really. So I bring that to the mountain bike world.
Let me ask you this. And once again, fortunately, this is my podcast, so I get to ask whatever I want. Let's talk about fear.
Sure.
Like I as a mostly cross-country guy, like this guy on the screen. I don't know if you've ever met Ken. Apparently you have.
Yep.
Easy Dirt Life.
Yep.
Nice guy. He teaches at the same university I do, and he apparently has no fear, but it's cost him 2 collarbones within months of each other. How do you get scared? I mean, do you not have the fear DNA? What's your deal?
No, I do. I think if anything, I overthink stuff. So I've never been the guy to just, all right, let's go and just drop in and hit something. If anything, I overthink stuff to where I'm like, all right, what can happen? What would cause that to happen? And how can I prevent that from happening? What can I do to make this successful? And then, you know, before I drop in to do something, I'll close my eyes and really visualize it and think about what I'm about to do and imagine it going well in my head. And then I do whatever, you know, crazy thing it is. But I've thought it through a lot. Whereas, you know, you see these videos online and you see these contest runs and you would assume that everyone's just like, well, let's see how this goes. And then just roll the dice.
Yeah, and that's what it looks like.
Yep. It's the complete opposite for me. Some people might have different
you ever backed out of anything?
All the time. Yeah, tons of stuff.
Really? Like, nope, not doing this.
Even, I mean, plenty of times I've backed away from things and then said, and then thought it through more, and then came to a kind of an agreement with myself. Okay, I can do this. So it's easy for me to talk myself out of stuff. It's harder for me to talk myself back into it. Even there's a trick I do on the video that's coming out tomorrow on my channel it's from Woodward's grand opening. And it was a trick that I haven't done in 10 years, and I've never done it on a setup like I did in the video. And I absolutely didn't want to do it at all. And I just thought about it and rationalized everything until I was like, you know what? I think I can do this, and then worked my way through it.
I find your channel so pure, and not because you're a talented rider. I just really like it, and I like seeing your boys about every 5th or 6th video. That's really kind of cool. I almost don't want to I almost don't feel like getting to my mundane questions, but let's talk about what kind of mountain bike or bikes that you have right now.
Sure. So I've got, I spend my most time on my, go ahead.
No, I'm just showing you this.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, so I spend the most time on my Release 27.5. So it's the Release 5C, and that's a from Diamondback. It's a 27.5-inch wheel bike with 130 rear travel and 150 front travel, and it's just the most, I don't know, versatile, really all around bike. I can hit jumps and do tricks on it, as well as I can go bike packing in India on it. And then the bike I ride the second most would probably be my Release 29. So it's a 29-inch wheel version of that bike. And the difference really is how far I'm riding and what type of stuff I'm riding. So I brought my Release 29 to Sedona because it's super chunky and rough. And the 29-inch wheels, I mean, they just carry your momentum and carry your speed over rough stuff.
Who was that guy you were hanging out with?
Which one, Seth?
Who?
Seth?
Seth who?
Oh, Seth's bkxc.
Oh, that I've seen that guy.
Yeah, he's been kicking around.
Who's the better rider, you or Seth?
I mean, Seth goes for it more than I do.
He's I think everyone here is a big fan of his.
Absolutely.
That was pretty hilarious. Who was on whose handlebars?
So I was on Seth's handlebars. So I had sent my bike down with a friend driving down from Salt Lake, and so I didn't have to pack it up and ship it and fly with it and everything. But the problem was that it was at the venue, and I don't know, I didn't really feel like walking over there, so I jumped on Seth's bars and we were riding over, kind of hitching a ride, school style, you know. And
let me ask you a weird question.
Sure.
Do you think that you and Seth, because obviously we all watch Seth, I love his channel. It's a blast to watch. I love his new channel. Do you think that there's some DNA in you and Seth that you just seem to have more of a spatial awareness than everybody else?
Compared to Seth?
Compared to anybody.
Oh.
I mean, you guys, like when you're in the air, you seem to have a spatial awareness, not like, oh, look, I'm in the air, what do I do? It seems like it's kind of planned. This is like you were describing earlier. It's amazing, really.
I think it goes back to really, like I said, thinking things through a lot before dropping into anything. And so I've already thought through almost every possible scenario of what could happen, and then filtered it out of what's likely to happen. And so when things are going wrong, I've already thought through, if things go wrong, here's how it'll probably go wrong, and here's how I can get out of that. So I'm thinking like 3 steps ahead, you know, and that's kept me safe. And then, you know, beyond that, I actually, when I was growing up, like, I mean, in Kentucky, as a kid, there was nothing like there is here. Like my kids are growing up skiing and snowboarding and doing all these crazy things. But the coolest thing I could find to do was gymnastics in Kentucky.
Really?
I could do flips and spins and jump into foam pits and do all kinds of
Can you do
cool
a flip
stuff.
right now? Like, not now, but like
on a trampoline, yeah, but not on flat ground, no.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that plays into it as well, because that definitely helped, you know, establish aerial awareness, I think, for my lifetime.
Okay. Because I'm blown away every time you guys ride. I was also blown away that you guys actually went out in the desert and looked for a lens. That I was laughing my butt off. Like, what? Really?
Oh,
Let me
man,
that
was one of those things that we just a sec. That was one of those things where you couldn't have planned a storyline like that before showing up, because we were showing up like, what are we going to shoot for our videos in Sedona? And we were like, I don't know, we'll do this, we'll do that. And then next thing you know, like, we finish our night ride and camera's missing.
I was just like, no, that didn't happen. I was just like, I was brought in like Tiger King, and then I just couldn't stop watching it. And I'm like, do they find the lens? And I think my wife was like, "Hey, we got to go." I'm like, hang on, I got to see if they find the lens.
Yeah, yeah,
let me
that was
ask
us.
you
That morning of, we're like, did we? If we find the lens, he's got a video for the week. If we don't, then we're like, that's no story. Like, if you don't find it, what kind of story is that?
Couple of grown men, adults. Eric, are you a gearhead? Are you a gear chaser?
Yeah, absolutely. I love gear.
Really?
I always have. Like I said, that was a true story from when I was a 12-year-old kid, and I had a mountain bike, but I didn't really know what it was or what it was for. And reading Mountain Bike Magazine, Mountain Bike Action, and like I remember saying, to my parents, I've got I need a hyperglide cassette on my bike. I just can't shift the way I need to unless I get this hyperglide. Look at this in the ad right here. It's showing exactly what it is.
Well, let me stop you. I read an interesting thing about you today, that you got a couple of covers on some big mountain bike. You were semi-pro, but you ended up getting some covers on a couple of mountain bike magazines, and that's actually what pushed you into the pro ranks. And I didn't understand that you were kind of pretty okay at semi-pro, but once you got to pro, what stepped up your game?
I think it was so the way it happened, I was racing semi-pro downhill, and I was trying to make it. I had moved out to Colorado, to Durango, and
how much money do you make? How much money do you make on being on a semi-pro downhill? What's the number one amount of money?
None.
Then how is it pro in any way?
It's not. That was a category in Norba. So when Norba was the sanctioning body for the race series, semi-pro was the step before pro. So then you could make money, and that's when people were making hundreds of thousands, and that was kind of like the glory days of mountain bike racing, was the late 90s. And so that was like Sean Palmer and John Tomac and all of the biggest legends, and
what about this guy on the screen?
I never made it as a racer. So
Jeff Lenosky.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, right. Spring some AirPods.
Come on, Porter. Spring for some AirPods.
My wife has AirPods, and my 8-year-old won some in a contest.
He goes, "You semi-make money."
Yeah, Jeff knows about that was when I met Jeff, was the late 90s, and Jeff was crushing it then, and that's when Jeff was riding on MTV then, jumping Caesar's Palace. Like, Jeff was doing like the craziest stuff then. It was.
How old is Lenosky? He's like 55, 56 or something like that?
How old are you, Jeff? I don't think he's 50.
Oh, I talked to him on the phone, like when he was driving across country. He was so bored he was willing to talk to me. He is old.
I turned 40 this year, so Jeff's got to be. I turned 40 this year. I'll bet Jeff's
This shirt I'm wearing is 40. My 2007 24 Hours of Moab shirt.
Nice.
Let me ask you this. A couple really important things. Cake or pie?
I've always been a fan of pie.
Then we can continue. Continue.
And outside of that, growing up, it was never birthday cakes. It was one of those birthday cookies, like the huge cookie with the frosting on top. That's what I went for.
Great answer. All right. So we can continue because you answered correctly on cake or pie, but here's where we could get into problems. Will you ever own an emtb?
There's one in the garage, and I've been using it for trail building and accessing stuff up in the mountains, mostly for trail building. And then my wife rides it quite a bit, so we can ride together.
Good deal.
Yeah,
that's a great deal. So let me break here, and let me remind everybody, in Eric's channel, well worth the subscribe. Same as Lenosky, as much crap as I give him, but go to Eric's channel and you will see some truly death-defying stuff that he makes look super easy. Also has the Facebook in there. That's all in the description right now. Okay, here's where we get into the meat of the stuff. What are you not very good at?
Let's see. What am I not very good at? Well, I wasn't good enough at downhill racing to make it to pro. I got a top 5 in semi-pro, but never quite made it all the way to pro class. What else? My wife just popped in. What am I not good at? Keeping things clean. She says she can outfish me as well.
Oh, wow. That's serious talk. My wife says the same thing.
Yeah, she's Alaskan.
Oh, well, that settles that. She is a better fisherman than you are, a fisherwoman.
Yeah.
All right, here's a fun question. Tell me something that you think is true that almost nobody else agrees with you on.
Oh, that's a tough one. There's plenty of these too. Megan, what do I think is true that nobody else agrees with me about? Let me see. I'll come back to that.
Just so everyone knows, Eric is one of the few people I did not send these questions to in advance, so he's going cold on these. We can go back to that if you want.
Yeah, we'll come back to that one.
Okay. If you're a superhero, what's your superhero name? And dad doesn't count. You can't say dad.
Superhero name.
Porterman.
Yeah, Porterman's good. That works. That was a friend of mine, Dan, on the collegiate team. He'd always call me Porterman. So
nice.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right, Porterman. What's your superpower?
Got to go with flying. That's what we're all. I always said I'd be if I didn't have wife and kids and family and care about all that stuff. I'd definitely base jump and squirrel suit. That looks like the funnest thing ever, but there's obviously the risk is a bit high. So
let me ask you this: is there a better superhero name than Trail Boss?
No, and I actually had to edit out a couple of. I was talking about. So my last video, when I was working on the pump track, I was talking about how I like to square everything off and make it look good, like a Trail Boss. And then I'm editing. I'm like, everyone's gonna think I'm talking about Jeff. I can't do that.
Such a good name.
And I'm talking, like the guy who runs the dirt jumps is called the Trail Boss, and trail bosses are known for being like a little crazy. Like you better fix your divots. You better square off those landings, make everything look good. So, Trail Boss
stole it from somebody.
Jeff crushed it. Going with the Trail Boss name.
I love it. What are you curious about right now?
Oh man, right now I'm curious about what's going to happen with the everything with the world. It's a bit crazy right now. But I'm making the most of it and spending the time with the family, and definitely spending a ton of time editing and pushing the YouTube channel because I've been gone and traveling and too busy to invest the time in it that I need. So I'm embracing this quarantine time at home to catch up on stuff like this that I've been wanting to do.
Not kidding, everybody. This is a remote dropper. You can go to Eric's channel and you can do the whole thing and the playlist. It's worth it. Let me look here. Jeff says, real cool. When I keep screwing stuff up, I say portered it. I'm going to edit it out. You're the worst.
Jeff loves we have a good time giving each other a hard time, and he's got some of the best one-liners I've ever seen in person. We were out. So the restaurant Carl's Jr.
Sure.
So we were at a Norba National. I think it was either Big Bear or Mammoth, somewhere in California, and we're all street riding. And there was this like a bank to wall like this, so we were all wall riding it and doing what you do. And the manager comes out and tells us to beat it. Just starts yelling at us, "Guys, get out of here!" And Jeff just calmly looks over and says, "Who are you, Carl Senior?" And it was, I mean, like there's very few times everyone comes up with stuff afterwards where you're like walking out of the room like, "Oh, that's what I should have said to that whoever," you know.
And Jeff says it.
He crushed it. Yeah.
let me start. You guys start getting your questions for Eric. Here's Dr. Ramos. How did you get so comfortable living behind the seat post?
So I guess you're talking about steeps.
Yeah.
That's my guess. I think just riding them more and more, it's kind of like everything else. The more you do something, the more comfortable you get with it, and working your way up. So, you know, not just dropping into, you know, Goats Gully and Whistler, or, you know, the backside of Hangover Trail right away, but really working your way up and understanding how it works and how your bike works and how your suspension works so that you can do it safely.
Well, here's Parker's MTB. What's the craziest feature you've ever ridden?
Craziest feature I've ever ridden. So there's this building in Los Angeles, and I think it's on my Instagram, but it's a 3-story building that's just a big here we go, quarter pipe. So it's 3 stories. The top like 8 or 10 feet is vert, and then it's just a big transition. And so
you're kidding.
It's crazy. That one I lost sleep over beforehand, and yeah, we brought a ladder and we climbed up the backside of the building. We did it on a Sunday morning when nobody was there, and
yeah, how did you not get arrested?
Yeah, Sunday. I mean, we actually hid when there were helicopters flying overhead, because I'm sure they weren't the cops looking for us, but you know, while we're breaking and entering, we we assumed that they were police helicopters. But either way, so we just went in on a Sunday morning, and I couldn't roll in on like a vert ramp because it was like 8 feet of vert. I mean, it was straight up and down for the top part. The only way I could figure out how to do it was to do it from a pedal stall. So like imagine like a 50-50 stall on a BMX bike where you're on the, you know, on your dropouts. And it's the same way that I would grind handrails on my dropouts on my bike. And so from there, yeah. And then I hopped in and dropped in as if you dropped in on a vert ramp from both pegs on a BMX bike.
That's gnarly. Simon Angier, I hope I'm getting your name right. What would be your dream sponsor?
Let's see, dream sponsor. I mean, Toyota would be pretty sick.
How about that?
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be a good one. How much is a yard?
My friend Henry that you've met in Sedona, how much is a yard? I think what he's saying is how much of your yard is dirt.
Okay, so
or I'm saying that wrong. I think he's asking how many tons in your backyard.
Yeah, I'll answer it a few ways. I've got about 65 dump truck loads full of dirt. So that's 55. That's 5 axle dump trucks, which, if I remember right, is 12 to 15 yards of dirt. So if you want to do the math there, but yeah, 65 dump truck loads of dirt. And then the back 2/3 of the yard is jumps and pump track. And the front third is house and grass. And we have about an acre.
What's the cost? If you don't mind me asking.
No, the cost, some of it was free, lined up from contractor friends who had to move dirt in the area anyway. And then some of it was from, some of it I bought from a local dirt merchant, as Seth called him in his last video. And the ones that I paid for were $150 a yard.
Okay. This guy.
No, sorry, $150 a truck. A truckload.
Oh wow! So. This guy, I think I'm saying it right. You're built. I've seen his Instagram. It's pretty good. What tips or recommendations do you have regarding getting partial sponsorship or frame deals? Do they come to you?
At a certain point, they come to you, but only when you're, you know, up there. Until you get there, you have to just reach out and contact the marketing departments at companies and kind of get on their radar. And I guarantee nothing will happen from the first email or the second or third, even maybe. It just takes persistence, but it also takes being at a level where you feel like it would be deserving of sponsorship. And, you know, part of that now is having an audience. So if you have a large YouTube channel or Instagram, you have an audience. So when you're running parts from that company, then it's very easy for you to show the sponsor what your benefit to that company is.
That's very well said.
Your product in front of this many people, because no company is sponsoring you because you're awesome. They're sponsoring you because you're part of the marketing department to help sell the products. And, you know, maybe that's from an image perspective. Maybe you're a trail builder and you build awesome trails, and a company wants to be associated with advocacy and with trail building.
Oh, that's so well said. I constantly tell YouTubers that, and I hardly know you, that don't undervalue yourself, because even at a lower level like I'm at 7,000 subscribers, which my subscribers are awesome, that's 7,000 mountain bikers that you don't have to get to a magazine, that you can just click right through. My friend Richard Medina wants to know, Slick Rock or Phil's World? Phil's World.
I love Phil's World. I haven't ridden that trail in a long time, but that trail that he's talking about is in Cortez, Colorado, and super fun trail. So I'm going to go with Phil's World on that one. If I just had to right off the bat, which one would you rather ride?
What's the most dangerous trail you've ever been on?
There's all kinds. There's different levels, different types of danger too. I mean, white line is maybe the most consequential. If you do make a mistake and you crash, you're not going to survive the crash if you continue down the hill. But then let's see, other dangerous trails. I mean, some of the slopestyle contests I rode in were, there was a while there where they were trying to see kind of how big they could make everything, and there were 60-foot doubles on slopestyle.
Let me follow up then. Is Rampage going to get there someday where something catastrophic is going to happen? I mean, at this point, when I watch Red Bull Rampage, I can't look away. It looks that dangerous to me at this point.
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually never competed in Rampage. There were a few years where I would have been able to had I wanted to, and I never wanted to do that. That was always just a level of risk beyond where I was comfortable with. And it's always been, you know, you might say the level is crazier now than it's ever been, but it's been like that every year. So any year that, you know, someone would have thought about doing it, it was just as gnarly that year too. And
wow.
And it's the thing I hated the most about Rampage is completely blind takeoffs, to where you're going 30 miles an hour into this huge step down, and you can't see anything until you're in the air, or at least, like, you know, beyond the point of no return.
Which goes back to your point, you know, where you walk something off, you do it metrically in your head and all that kind of stuff, where that is truly a huck fest. Well, let me say this. I have you past the point of no return, because I'm not a big fan of podcasts past a half hour.
Okay.
So, well, unless you want to hang out, it's everything from now on is totally up to you.
Yeah, no, I'm having a good time. So
I am too. You're an awesome guest. I can't imagine Lenosky is going to be like this. He's just going to suck to have on here. But once again, in the description is Eric Porter's his Facebook, his YouTube, his Instagram is in there. So I would highly recommend that you do that. If you guys want to ask some more questions, well, here's one of our friends. That's something only you can figure out. Everyone has to get their own style and story to tell. That's I don't know if you know Joseph from Trail Features.
I do, yeah.
Good guy. Good dude.
Yep, just saw him at Sedona.
Yeah. What's your favorite word?
My favorite word, fun. Let's go with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
How
Everything's
about
kind
this?
of everything in my life is based around fun, I'd say. You know, being whatever it is, the end goal is fun usually.
Let me ask you this. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
You know, the biggest thing that I keep going back to is that if I feel like there's not enough, I don't do enough good for the world doing what I'm doing. It's sometimes can feel selfish. And so I think it would be something in, you know, helping the world be a better place, whatever that
That
ended up being. But it's, you know, it's like I said, it's all about having fun, and that's what I'm trying to do. But sometimes you get into those things where like, man, it's crazy out there, and I'm extremely lucky to have the life I do. But to help other people live better lives, or to help fight climate change or whatever, there's some crazy stuff out there. So
there is.
yeah.
There is. We're going to keep this family friendly. So you can either decline this question if you want. What's your favorite curse word?
you should hear my kids. Like I said, my wife's Alaskan and fishes, so you can imagine.
Fair enough.
Yeah, they're all pretty good. I use them pretty regularly off camera. But like I teach my kids, there's a time and a place for them, and it's not at school, it's not with grandparents, but you know, and yeah, one of my kids, we were riding downhill, and there were huge braking bumps, and he pulls over, and I think he said, what did he say? He said, "Holy shit!" That's what he was, and I'm like, "What?" At the time, I think he was 7 or 8. It was Milo.
Oh wow!
And I'm like, "What'd you say?" And he said it again. And I'm like, "Yeah, that's a good use of that word. Good time and place." Yeah, I'm like, I don't know how you didn't get rattled off of there. Those things were craters.
Oh man!
Yeah,
I love that. All right, well, let's do this, Eric. Don't go anywhere. Everyone, thank you for showing up to see Eric Porter. And I don't know. I don't want to insult anybody, but this is easily one of the very top writers on not just YouTube, but still killing it. Thank you so much for showing up. I appreciate it a bunch. And everybody else. And by the way, I'm looking for an outro line on this podcast. I don't know what to say. I just basically hit the end broadcast and we're done. But special message for everyone out there. Everyone stay safe. These are extraordinary times. And so I think we're called on right now to do extraordinary things. And so I'm just going to say goodnight to everybody and thank Eric. So Eric, just hang out for just a sec.
sure. Yeah, thanks for having me as well. And like you said, everyone stay safe, and let's look out for